I'm David Durham, President, CEO, founder of Durham Loyal. By way of a very brief introduction, I want to tell you the three things that have enabled us to stand out as a premier investment advisory firm in the United States. One, by virtue of our name, Durham Loyal, we're loyal. And as a result of our loyalty to our clients are loyal to us. Secondly, we genuinely care. We care about your financial future. We live it. We've been doing retirement planning for over 40 years. I've been an advisor for almost 50 years. And so the care shows, but the care has to express itself, and we do. Thirdly, with that care, we have the expertise. All we do is retirement planning in every aspect of it. Our goal is to help you retire at the best of what you have as resources without any compromise or without any end, having too much of your lives left at the end of your living. Can I let you in on a little secret? You only retire once. And by the way, in retiring once, you have some decisions to make once and for all that once you make, you cannot change. So it's very important that you come to a firm that understands retirement planning from beginning to finish through it all. That's Durham Loyal. So give us a call or tune into our website for your free 1-hour consultation. Talk to you soon. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our master class. This class tonight happens to feature, can I afford to retire now? Big question, big answers. Stay tuned, because I'm going to show you how to get the most out of what you have in your overall portfolio and in all your sources of income. Let's get started. My name is David Durham. I'm CEO, founder of Durham Loyal. And as we go through the program tonight, which will take around 30 minutes and with questions and answers a little bit beyond that, I'm going to give you the benefit of my 50 years experience as a financial advisor and expertise in retirement planning for the last 42 years. So stay tuned, put your seatbelts on. We're going to go pretty fast, but not so fast that you cannot have questions that we can answer for you. So every once in a while, we'll pause for a question and answer and let you tune in a little bit further. And we'll also show you how that you can have a personalized retirement roadmap. So let's dive right in and have some fun, and at the same time, learn some things that more than likely you never knew before. Remember, can I afford to retire now? It's a big subject. And we address people just like you that are in what I call the red zone. What's the red zone? The red zone means you're within 5 years of exiting the work world and launching into retirement, or you have launched into retirement within the last 5 years. That's our area of specialization. So let's tune into that and go to one important topic as we begin, and that is Social Security. Big subject, big part of your retirement, because statistically for middle America, 40% of a person's retirement budget comes from Social Security. I have to catch up with my slides, so I'm going to pause for just a moment and get us caught up. How's that sound? Okay, so here's the situation with Social Security. I discovered some 35 years ago that in the world of financial services, accounting, tax planning, and Social Security themselves, very little information that's personalized to you. People don't have the training, or they're not allowed, or they just don't see the importance of integrating Social Security with your overall retirement planning. So we're going to talk to you about this evening in a very clear way. Very, very important when you consider what percentage of your retirement budget comes from Social Security. Here are some things that you need to know as a basic foundation for Social Security. It'll just take a few seconds, nothing too boring, but very important. It's important for you to know how much you would receive at your earliest eligible age, which happens to be 62, unless you are a widow or widower, then it's 60. Now, you have a next very important age, and that is what Social Security refers to as your full retirement age. That, for some of you, is as early as 66, and for others of you, it slides all the way to age 67. I will talk to you in a moment about the significance of a full retirement age for you and your overall Social Security planning. Now, you have age 70. 70 is important because that is the last age for you to think about whether or not to take Social Security. So let me give you a very brief overview. At 62, if you don't take Social Security, your benefit, whether you're working and contributing anymore or not, is guaranteed to increase at 6% a year between 62 and full retirement age. So let's say your full retirement age is 67. That means that it went up 30% in those 5 years for the rest of your life. Then if you do not take it at full retirement age, let's say that's 67, it's going up a guaranteed 8% a year between 67 and 70. Wow, that's 24%. Think of the difference between 62 and 70. So another part of our presentation a little bit later is what about other sources of income from investments, pensions, rental, dividends, because we're going to have a question answered. Which should I take first? Social Security or my other sources of income? Big question, easy answers. Stay tuned. We're flying. Okay, now, I just talked about your Social Security benefits, but here's something that is a little bit startling, and it's the reason why this course, both taught in person live as well as webinar just like this, is so popular all over the United States. This tonight is airing throughout the United States. Here is what Social Security cannot and will not tell you. They cannot tell you when is the best time for you to take Social Security. They cannot give you any strategies, which we'll be talking about momentarily. They cannot tell you, what about a spouse? When should they take it? And many other types of benefits, which we're going to launch into now. Social Security employees, we appreciate them. I love America, but they are trained, restricted, and motivated to give you as little information as possible to start your benefits as soon as possible. Why? So that they're lower, and because they would be subject to the opportunity for more taxation. So here we go. It's all working against you. No strategies, no tax planning, no combinations of strategies between spouses. You're in the dark. And it's a proven fact that over 90% of people receiving Social Security benefits are actually receiving less than they could because they didn't have the right plan, the right advice. Taxes, we're going to dive into for just a moment, are a big challenge. Because remember, I talked about age 62. So let's just say that you decided to take your benefit because you needed it, but you're still working. It's possible with your earned income that your Social Security benefit could be lowered to zero. So it's very important for you to understand the effects of taxes as it comes to when and how you take your Social Security benefits. Taxes can be a big torpedo to knock a real big hole in your overall Social Security planning. So I'm going to give you an example. There's something called an earnings test if you're taking a Social Security benefit before full retirement age. So here's the situation. A person has a salary of $54,000 a year. Not pensions, not rental income, earned income. We're calling it a salary. But they have a limit on their earnings of 23,400, as you see on the screen. Ay, ay, ay. That is so much more than I made. So you have this excess earnings, and that excess earnings is taxed at 50 cents on the dollar. So if you had an excess earnings of $30,000 and you have a tax penalty of $15,000, your benefit in this case could be reduced to a little skinny zero. Now, here's something else important. The year before you turn full retirement age, that amount goes up, the amount that you can have in earned income, and it's a much lower tax. But I'm just giving you examples of why it's very important to include tax planning in the timing for you taking Social Security. Very important. And remember, most professionals don't know about this and they don't tell you, and Social Security cannot tell you. Yikes, we're stuck. We're going to shift gears and talk about something else. I want you to tune into this because I think some of you are going to find out you didn't realize you had some benefits coming that you never thought about because you were never told. I mentioned widows. Widows can start receiving a benefit as early as 60, but oh, remember this. If you're still working, having earned income, you might need to wait until you reach full retirement age. But sometimes what people do, by the way, is they start with a widow benefit. And remember, as a widow, they have a deceased spouse. And many times, the deceased spouse had a Social Security benefit much higher. So what do? They take the widow benefit, which is in some cases a smaller amount, and then at a certain point in the future, they take that deceased spouse's benefit and it's much higher. So what have they done? They've optimized their overall Social Security benefits. Now, I've already taken a deep dive into strategies, and I know some of you are going to have questions, so save them, write them down. We're coming to several question and answer sessions. Now, unmarried children are also eligible if one of the parents is receiving a Social Security benefit. Now, it could be as much as $1,150 a month into the home. I've seen cases with clients where they had two children at home. They received $2,200 a month on behalf of those two children. That's a big increase in Social Security. Oh, divorcees. Nothing critical. We have a lot of those. But watch this. You're divorced, and maybe that ex-spouse has a benefit that's worth you tapping into. So you tap into that divorcee benefit while yours is growing. Remember, between 62 and full retirement age, it's growing at 6% a year. And then from full retirement age to 70, it's growing at 8% a year. So listen to this strategy. You take a divorcee benefit, let's say it's $1,200 a month. And yours was $1,400 a month, but it's going to grow. And you wait for 6 years before you take your own, and it will have grown to $1,900 a month. I'm just giving you rough examples. But by the way, we have the software to take your individual situation, consider eligibility of all kinds, and say, when should you start and how? And by the way, divorcees, do you have to ask that ex-spouse if you can take a benefit from theirs? No. Why? Because it doesn't affect their benefit. Now, let's move on to disabled. Another whole situation. And disabled is pretty hard to qualify for more and more these days. It can apply to children. It can apply to adults. But I want to mention one more type of benefit besides a survivor, and that is a spousal benefit. A spousal top-up, watch this. A spousal top up says one spouse's benefit is $3,000 a month. I'm just talking as an example. And the other spouse hardly ever worked or had very low wages, was a stay-at-home parent, and their benefit is only $500 a month. As long as the spouse with the higher benefit is receiving their benefit at full retirement age or more, that spouse with the lower benefit, as long as they've reached 62, can take up to approximately 50% of that higher benefit. So imagine $3,000 a month. The other spouse with the lower benefit could be up to $1,400 a month. Do you realize we've just increased their income by almost $18,000 a year? Now that's pretty exciting. And that is a spousal top up. So here's a question before we move on. Will Social Security give you those strategies? No, they're not allowed. So you need your own strategy going into Social Security. And that's why we offer complimentary a Social Security timing and strategy report. Stay tuned. No catches. I'm going to show you how you can have your own report. 20 pages personalized to you and or your spouse if you're married. All the mathematical calculations. We know all the rules. They're all in the software. Because, by the way, do you realize that there are hundreds of mathematical calculations and thousands of rules written on thousands of pages in the Social Security manual? Oh, my goodness. What you don't know could hurt you and cost you. You need a strategy report. Okay, now we're going to move a little bit further. And that is the next part of your retirement planning. Remember, we have a question. Is now the time to retire? And when you say now, maybe you need one, maybe you really mean 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, but you really don't know. Don't feel bad. That's not uncommon. We see people coming into our offices and on Zoom every day with that question. So in order to properly answer that question, you need a portfolio review. And we put that portfolio through what we call a stress test. And let me tell you a little bit about that, okay? I'm pretty excited because you need your portfolio to be storm-proofed and postured to weather the storms of life that can come in various forms. And what I find, 80% of the portfolios that I review in my history are on autopilot. What does that mean? They're diversified, but they're subject to a roller coaster ride, whether it's the stock market or the bond market. And many times the losses they incur are not from stocks, they're from bonds. And other times they're not from bonds, they're stocks, like today. Today was a dismal day. And you talk to a financial advisor and they say, well, hang in there. What goes down will come back up. It takes time, but you're well diversified. Excuse me. It's so very important that you are in what I call the red zone. Doesn't mean you're on fire. It just means that you're about to change how your portfolio serves you. You see, while you were working, you were contributing on a consistent basis, probably every 2 weeks from your payroll into your savings, your retirement accounts. And what's important for portfolios, and this is true for 90% of middle Americans, their portfolio is intended for future retirement income. It's not for play. No, it's not for speculative investing. It's for maintaining lifestyle in retirement. So how we look at that portfolio is distinctively different according to its purpose. So in a portfolio review, here's what we do. We say, is the risk you're taking matched with the risk tolerance that you have? Number one. Number two, what is your time horizon for accessing this money for income? Oh, 2 years. Well, folks, if your portfolio suffers a loss on average every 5 years in a 75-year history of the stock market, I'm sad to say you don't have time to make it up. So what have you done? You've compromised your retirement lifestyle. And I would say to you respectfully, it's not necessary. What happens is a third thing. Portfolios are more affected by fees and volatility when you're not working because you're not contributing to make up for the volatility and the fees. But now you're going to feel it because once you retire, you're no longer contributing, but consistently you are withdrawing. And in our industry, and you've heard it, it's called reverse dollar cost averaging, which means that when you're withdrawing consistently, let's say 5% a year, you are multiplying the effects of volatility and fees. So part of our review is what about the fees? The next part of the review is how are you balancing risk with safety? Because so often the way risk is balanced is with target funds and bonds. And target funds are very much like bonds. And so you can have losses, but moreover, very low returns. So basically, you're being punished to be safe. And I'm going to submit to you that in a portfolio review, as we close out this subject, we'll show you what you have. We'll show you, is it postured for storms? And from all of that, we'll make some recommendations. And furthermore, we will say, here is reasonably and safely what you can expect in income at a trigger date for retiring. And we put that together with your Social Security timing and strategy report. So what do we have? We have a good overview of your timing for retirement, as I said, and something else. How long is my money going to last? For me, my spouse, if I'm married, and for the rest of my life. Very important topics. And I will say to you that our industry, by and large, approaches this type of planning in an over risky scenario that can subject your portfolio to unexpected losses. Think of today. I don't like to think about it, but we've had the biggest losses in one day since 2020 between the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, the Russell 2000. We've seen losses in one day of 4 to 6%. And I'm going to say to you, with active management and a proper balancing of risk with safety, you didn't have to suffer those losses. So what am I talking about? We're not just talking about today. We're talking about the fact that the stock market suffers losses on average every 5 years, and your retirement could go for decades. We want you to be able to sleep at night, not only tonight, but for many years to come. Very, very important. So we're offering you a second opinion on your portfolio, and this also is complimentary for attending this class. Second opinion, by the way, you don't want to get a second opinion from the person or the firm that gave you the first opinion, because I would say 90% of you this evening are upset about the market. And I would say, in all due respect, you didn't have to be. But let's move forward. I'm going to go back to a subject for your retirement accounts. You have a rule called required minimum distribution. And that is a requirement when you reach age 73. That's the new rule. It used to be 70 and a half. You have to take money out of retirement accounts, whether you need the money or want it or not. So how you posture your portfolio to cater for consistent withdrawals is very important. It goes back to a better approach and a safer approach to how you balance risk with safety to cater for routine withdrawals. That's all we're talking about. A portfolio review will tell you, here's what you need to fix, and here's how, and here's what it means in future dollars to support your retirement lifestyle. What a great advantage for you. Okay, we're just about at the end of our program. I want to open up our session here to questions and answers. I know that some of you do have some questions, and we'll have this one more time. But here's a question: that what are the three most common retirement mistakes? Number one, people go into retirement without proper planning for their Social Security timing, strategy, and tax treatment. That's the first mistake. The second mistake is people, as I just talked about in a portfolio review, they do not have the proper balance of risk with safety, and they don't cater for the fact that they're no longer working and contributing either now or in the very few years when they fully retire. The third retirement mistake is this: they don't have a plan that says, here's my income, here's my taxation, here's my longevity, here's somebody else that's dependent on this income. Are we going to have too much of our lives left at the end of our income? Or can we sail through these beautiful sunset years? Those are the three most common retirement mistakes.
What are the potential risks of claiming Social Security early?
The question is, what are the consequences of taking my Social Security early? By the way, that voice was Kenya Garcia. She's our director of marketing, and she's fielding questions and then putting them down for me to answer. Thank you, Kenya.
Of course.
So here's the situation. There are several consequences to taking Social Security early. Now, I respectfully say you just might have to because that's your budget. But remember this: if you take it early and you're still earning a salary, you could be subject to taxation. And that taxation is, I don't like to call it taxation, I call it a tax penalty. Because imagine if your income was 60,000 and in rounded dollars, your limit on earned income is 23,000. Whoa, that's $37,000 in excess income. Half of that is 18,000. And what if your benefit is 1,600 a month? You just wiped it out to zero. Big consequence. The second consequence is this: you forego the opportunity for your Social Security to grow automatically, even if you did stop working. And the third consequence of taking Social Security early: if you are the main earner in that home with a higher Social Security benefit, you have left a lower survivor benefit to that surviving spouse. Now, what does that mean? If the spouse with the higher benefit has a Social Security amount each month of $3,500, and they pass away, and the surviving spouse has a lower benefit, they automatically step up to that higher survivor benefit. So that's to be taken into consideration as well when it comes to the timing for taking Social Security. Thank you.
What if I decide to retire and then I want to go back to work? What are the consequences? How it will affect me?
Great question. Good. Here's the thing. If you decide to retire, oftentimes you're going out and getting Social Security. Under the new rules, you can no longer file and suspend. In other words, you can't start it and then stop it. So if you go back to work and you took Social Security early, remember, before full retirement age, you could be subject to a penalty because you went back to work. So you have to be very careful. Now, there is one little loophole. If you started taking Social Security, and I had this in a class last week in Miami, you decided to go apply for Social Security at age 66. I had it happen on a Zoom today. Applied, their benefit was almost $4,000 a month. They came to me and I said, hold it. Your income is far above $100,000 a year. So what did we do? We filed a Form 521 and stopped the benefit. They hadn't received a check. But hold it. What if they had received checks? You're allowed to stop your benefit within 1 year of receiving your first check, but you have to pay back what you've received in that year. So those are the consequences of deciding to retire and then going back to work? Good question.
Uh, there's a very common question. What if I made a mistake? Can I stop the process?
Yeah.
How this will affect me?
Good. Remember, you can stop the process up until the day you receive your first check. And as a reminder to what I just said, if you decide that you made a mistake or Social Security made a mistake for you, you can stop. You just have to pay back what you've received in the last year. Now, if you discover that mistake, whether you made it or they made it, after 12 months, you're stuck. You have to stick with it.
Oh, that's good to know.
So remember this, you only retire once. You want to get it right the first time. During Loyal, we retire every day. So we know what's best for you once we meet and discuss and go through these various reports that are available to you. A retirement roadmap is generated, and it helps avoid the bumps, the lumps, the roller coaster ride, the mistakes. You have a very strategic retirement roadmap laying out your future in dollars and numbers and timing and tax treatment.
Can continue. I think we have some more
Yep.
information.
Okay. We're on the roads for some more here. Roadmap to retirement. So here we are. You have a Social Security timing and strategy report. Very helpful. You can use it and actually take it into Social Security. On that note, quickly, David, I'm not planning to retire for 3 years, then I'll get my benefit. Go ahead and get a report now. Because you've attended this class, we will upgrade it.
I have here a question.
Okay.
If I take Social Security early and have investment properties, does the earning guide the same?
I got it. We just did a little quick question somebody typed into us, and I'm happy to answer it. When it comes to considering taking Social Security early, the number one factor is earned income through salary from which you pay FICA and Social Security taxes. So if you have investment properties, dividends, withdrawals from investments, they do not affect the earnings test. So you're going to be just fine if you so choose to take your Social Security benefit early.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay, roadmap to retirement. Several parts. First, the Social Security timing and strategy, including tax impact. What is best for you and or your spouse? What's the best strategy? What's the best timing? Secondly, portfolio review. So vitally important to your overall retirement planning because you need a picture. Remember the first question we asked, when can I retire? You need a very, very good strategic plan that gives you confidence in your timing and in your ability to maintain the lifestyle to which you grew accustomed while you were working. You deserve those answers, and that's what we do every day. Now, we have one more subject as a bonus this evening because I've noticed something. 80% of Americans do not have in place estate planning. They don't have a will. If they need a trust, they don't have it. And if they don't have it, they don't know if they need it. And there's so much to be considered in estate planning because you don't want somebody else making decisions for you and your loved ones, number one. Number two, you do not want to be subject to probate. What is probate? Either I don't have proper documents or they're outdated or they're challenged. Our full intention is we offer an estate planning review that says, number one, if you don't have the documents, based on your personal situation, here's what you need. Number two, we're making sure that your assets flow through the bloodline without interference of courts, judges, lawyers, and predators and creditors and outlaws. Who's an outlaw? I just wanted to add some lightness to the subject. one of your children got married and then they got a divorce. We want to keep your assets in the bloodline. So having proper estate planning is vitally important. I've put some key words up there, but if you're not sure, when you interview with us, either by Zoom or phone or in person, make sure you say, I would like an estate planning review. And that's all a part of the package that you will receive on a complimentary basis for staying tuned tonight to this program. So remember, here's our offer. Let us help you today. We'll provide 3 reports in a fashion of 3 things. Number 1, you visit with us. You'll enjoy the visit. We're here to help you. Number 2, you will leave that meeting knowing much more than when you entered the meeting. And number 3, we're here to educate you and show you what we can do and how it might add value to your lives. And so there's no charge for the free reports that we're offering. Social Security timing and strategy, portfolio review, roadmap to retirement, and also an estate planning review if you so choose. So let me have Kenya step in and show you how to tune in for this information. It'll necessitate a brief visit with myself, and you will walk away with more than you expected without any form of pressure, cost, or solicitation. Thank you very much. David Durham on Thursday evening. We want you to know when to retire, and you can know with confidence. Kenya?
Oh, thank you, David. And yes, we are having here on the screen where you're going to receive an email and a text message after this presentation, and then you can click the link and you can book your appointment. It can be by Zoom, phone call, or in person here in Pembroke Pines, according to your preference. Also, you can visit our website. You can see display on the screen, www.anoyal.com, and in that meeting, you're going to receive the roadmap, because we promised for your attendance, they're going to receive a roadmap. It's a free retirement roadmap. So you're more than welcome in the meantime to bring your questions here live with David Durham.
Very good. Thank you again for tuning in. To make it easy, Kenya told you very well. You can go to durhamloyal.com. They'll show you all about how to tune in to having a visit with myself. You can call the 800 number. It's on your screen. You can click the link. Easy 101. Tune in. We're here to help you. We have the experience. We have the heart. We have the expertise. We have the availability. Have a very nice evening.
We have another question here. What about the wife? If the husband dies, how am I gonna be able to apply to the?
Okay. So the question was this: a husband passes away who happens to be receiving a benefit, and it happens to be the higher amount in the household. Well, in many cases, Social Security, by the way, is notified within days that that person passed away and that they're married. So many times the surviving spouse automatically is bumped up to that higher benefit. If not, then there is a process. It's quite easy. It's quite quick. They supply a word I don't like to use, a death certificate, to Social Security, proof of marriage, and within 10 days to 2 weeks, they should be receiving the higher benefit from the spouse who passed away. It's a pretty easy process. Any other questions while we stay tuned for a few more minutes?
Well, we talk about this, but how do you recommend people approach the decision of when to start claiming Social Security, especially if they are unsure whether to claim early or delay?
Well, what happens is this. People need a full plan because they need to understand, number one, what are the benefits they're entitled to receive, what strategies would help them maximize how much their household would receive, and when is the best timing for that, and when is the least tax impact. That's all in your Social Security timing and strategy report. But the second very important part is this: I have other assets that can generate income of various types. So, would I rather start taking income from those assets first and let my Social Security automatically grow between now and some chosen age in the future? Well, that's all in a retirement roadmap that's very, very helpful to help you in a very personalized way determine what's my strategy, what's my timing, and how much can I expect to receive.
Is any advice that you can provide for married couples? I'm gonna put it here on the, you can see it here. For married couples, what strategy can be used to maximize Social Security benefits?
I'm glad that was asked because there's some particular benefit I forgot to mention.
Yes.
It's not uncommon for some spouses to not have 40 credits. In order for you to receive Social Security benefits of any kind, of any amount, at any age, you have to achieve 40 credits. Most people that have worked for 10 years or more have 40 credits. But as I said, it's not uncommon for a spouse, maybe they're new to this country, or maybe they just never worked or worked very little. So here's what's important. If they've been married for 10 years or more, they automatically qualify for spousal benefits. So there is number one, a way for the household to maximize Social Security benefits. Number two, as a review, one spouse has a higher benefit and the other spouse has a benefit that's so low it's less than half. So remember, as long as the spouse with the higher amount of Social Security applies at full retirement age, the spouse with the lower amount can apply anytime at 62 or past and get almost half of what that higher benefit equals. So that's another way to maximize Social Security benefits. A third way, you have children living at home that are still in school, 19 and below. They're not cheaper by the dozen, but I gave you an example earlier in the program where there are two children still living at home under age 19 and still in school. That could be an additional $2,200 a month into that household until those children are either out of school or past the age of 19. Those are your best ways to maximize Social Security benefits.
Well, if we have more questions.
We'll hang in there for a few more minutes and then we'll say good night, sleep well, and thank you for tuning in.
And you're going to receive a text message after this presentation, and you can click the link from your text message or your email and schedule your visit. Thank you very much.
Have a great evening. Enjoy your weekend. And I look forward to hearing from you and seeing you soon. David Durham.